I want to talk to you today about the 2016 Apple MacBook lineup, their portable lineup. In fact, I wanted to talk specifically about this being the year of the ultra-thin MacBook lineup. There's been a lot of speculation, and it kind of makes sense at this point that there'll be a redesign of the MacBook line physically to make it a lot smaller and to take something of design cues from the Retina MacBook that launched last year. So in terms of design cues, what we're going to probably see are thinner design, Retina display obviously, USB-C ports possibly exclusively moving away from MagSafe adapters this year. Of course, colors, so in addition to silver, you would see gray, gold, rose gold, and thinner bezels as well. It doesn't need to have as much space along the border of the device, and that's something that Apple can use to make everything into a much smaller package. There's also been speculation about using metal hinges as opposed to non-metal hinges, and that's something that I've read has caused some issues with users having their devices break was because those weren't metal hinges. So that's something that they probably would adopt to just make the design a lot stronger and a lot longer of a life. In terms of time frame, earlier we thought you might see this at the March event. We didn't. That was just iPad Pros and iPhone SE. So probably in the second half of 2016. There is some speculation that the refreshed 12-inch MacBook would come earlier, and then the new ultra-thin design for the bigger screen sizes would come later in the year. I kind of just want to talk about what I think, makes sense for Apple and some possibilities. In the future, I'll have a video about things that I expect and, maybe even a wish list video of things that I want in these 2016 MacBooks. But just some quick thoughts. I think the first thing Apple's going to want to do in 2016 is simplify the lineup. So right now you have a MacBook, Macbook Air, MacBook Pros with Retina display, and then one last model that does not have a Retina display that still has the DVD drive in it. I think this year is the year that they finally simplify this. Apple, when Steve Jobs first came back to Apple in the late 90s, one thing he wanted to do was simplify the product line. So he wanted a portable category that was for consumers and for professionals, a desktop category that was for consumers, for professionals, that 4-quadrant layout. It makes a lot of sense for Apple to simplify here. So you could have two 12-inch Retina MacBook models, a good and a better, and then 4 MacBook Pro models, a good and a better 13-inch, let's say, and a good and a better 15-inch. And that just simplifies it a lot. And what that also means is you're dropping the legacy MacBook Pro from the lineup, and you're dropping the MacBook Airs from the lineup. The MacBook Air for a while has been, I think, the best value. But moving forward with component costs going down, it doesn't really make sense to have a MacBook Air, because now with the MacBook Air, you're kind of having, all right, at the 13-inch thing, you're having, good, sort of, with the MacBook Air, comparatively to, the better, and then the even better 13-inch MacBook Pros. It's just kind of confusing and something that they can kind of just simplify, especially if these laptops are going to be much, much smaller. There's really no reason to have an Air, which originally was designed anyway to be that smaller package. Another thing that would make sense, talking about compacting the devices and making the bezels smaller, for instance, maybe you don't have to stick with 13 and 15 inches. Maybe if you're making the bezel smaller in something that's a similar size package, you could have 14 and 16-inch models. So you're getting more screen real estate in a size that's either the same or even slightly smaller than we have now. Again, this just makes some sense. You have the 12-inch, 14, 16. That just is standard uniform and makes a lot of sense compared to having, right now you have 11, 12, 13, and 15, a lot of different screen sizes. Can get kind of confusing. I think basically the biggest thing that we're going to see this year are refreshed MacBooks. Obviously you're going to have your standard slew of updates, Skylake CPUs, faster graphics, etc. But I think this is the year we finally see a significant redesign in the MacBook line, taking cues from the 2015 Retina MacBook. I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section below. I'm really curious to see which of these things, what feature is most important to you, what rumor seems most plausible to you. Is there something that I haven't talked about, that I haven't considered yet, that makes a lot of sense to you? I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click subscribe below to stay up to date on the latest and greatest videos from my channel.